The year was 2087. Humanity had spread beyond Earth, with bustling colonies on Mars and mining stations scattered throughout the asteroid belt. People looked to the stars with hope instead of fear. They had no idea that would soon change. Commander John Reeves yawned as he piloted his patrol ship near the rings of Saturn. The United Earth Defense Force uniform felt tight after 12 hours on duty. His small crew of 4 monitored their sensors without much excitement. These outer system patrols rarely offered anything interesting. "Sir, I'm picking up strange readings," said Lisa Chen, the ship's sensor officer. Her fingers moved quickly across her screen. "There's some kind of energy spike near Titan." John leaned forward. "Natural phenomenon?" "No, sir. I've never seen anything like this." A bright flash lit up the darkness of space, where empty vacuum had existed moments before. A massive tear in space appeared. John's mouth fell open as 5 enormous vessels emerged from the rift. Each one dwarfed the largest Earth battleship. "Send an alert to Earth Command now," John ordered. Before they could act, their communication system activated on its own. A harsh voice spoke in perfect English. "Attention humans. This is Fleet Commander Vrakthul of the Coraxian Empire. Your solar system is now under our control. Surrender immediately or face extinction." The message repeated across every communication channel on Earth and its colonies. In the United Earth Defense Headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Susan Miller watched the alien ships on the main display with narrowed eyes. "Admiral, they're requesting to speak with Earth's leadership," her communications officer said. Susan straightened her uniform. "Put them through." The screen filled with the image of a tall, gray-skinned being with 4 yellow eyes. Bone ridges covered its head instead of hair. "I am Admiral Miller of the United Earth Defense Force. Why have you entered our system uninvited?" The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species is primitive. The Coraxian Empire requires your resources and your world. We have conquered 17 civilizations more advanced than yours. Resistance is pointless." Susan's expression remained neutral. Humanity does not surrender to threats. The alien commander seemed surprised. "Perhaps you need a demonstration of our power." Without warning, one of the smaller mining outposts on Titan erupted in flames. 300 people died instantly. "You have 24 Earth hours to surrender control of your governments to our representatives," Vrakthul said before ending the transmission. In the emergency meeting room beneath Washington, D.C., world leaders gathered quickly. President Richard Clark looked around the table with a grim face. "Options?" he asked. General Paul Edwards stood up. "Our military analysis shows their technology is at least a century beyond ours. Direct confrontation would be suicide." "So we surrender?" asked the European Union representative. Susan Miller, who had flown in from command, spoke up. "No, we make them think we're considering surrender while we prepare to fight." "Fight?" The Chinese premier looked shocked. "You saw what they did to Titan." "Yes," Susan said firmly. "And if we surrender, they'll do worse. These corrections have conquered 17 worlds. Do you think those people live as equals now?" Silence fell across the room. "What do you propose, Admiral?" the president asked. "Operation Defiance. We evacuate major cities while making it look like normal activity. We move our experimental weapons into position, and we prepare for the kind of war they won't expect." "Guerrilla warfare against spaceships?" someone asked. Susan nodded. "They expect us to fight conventionally or surrender. We'll do neither." As the meeting continued, John Reeves and his crew watched from their position near Saturn as more Coraxian ships appeared. The aliens clearly expected a quick victory. They had no idea what humanity was capable of when pushed into a corner. Fleet Commander Vrakthul stood on the bridge of his massive ship, looking down at the blue planet. His 4 yellow eyes blinked slowly as reports came in. The humans had requested more time to organize their surrender. Vrakthul had graciously given them 3 more days. Such mercy was rare from the Caraxian Empire. "Sir, we have detected unusual movement patterns around the planet," said his second-in-command. "Explain," Vrakthul ordered. "The humans appear to be evacuating their cities, but they claim these are normal population shifts." Vrakthul made a rumbling sound deep in his throat. "Send scout ships to investigate. The humans will soon learn the cost of deception." 20 Caraxian scout ships entered Earth's atmosphere, their sleek forms cutting through clouds as they descended toward major cities. The ships carried scanning technology that could detect large groups of humans and weapons. What they didn't expect was Lieutenant Alan Nichols and his Special Forces team. Alan crouched on a rooftop in what remained of downtown Boston. His team wore adaptive camouflage suits developed in secret military labs. Their weapons had been modified based on readings from the alien ships. "Target approaching," Alan whispered into his comm unit. "Remember, hit and run only. We want to confuse them, not start a battle we can't win." The Caraxian scout ship floated between skyscrapers, its scanners sweeping the area. Alan aimed his modified rifle and fired. The energy pulse struck a specific point on the alien ship's hull. The ship wobbled in the air. Its scanners went dark. "Now," Alan shouted. His team fired at the same time, hitting different points on the ship. They didn't try to destroy it, just disable its key systems. Before the ship could recover, they were gone, disappearing into the maze of buildings. Similar attacks happened across Earth. By the end of the day, 7 scout ships had been disabled, and 3 had crashed. Not a single human attacker was captured. In her hidden command center, Admiral Susan Miller watched the reports come in. "Operation Defiance is working," she told her staff. "The Caraxians don't understand why their technology is failing against what they see as primitive weapons." She turned to a thin woman with short gray hair who stood nearby. "Dr. Wells, what have you discovered?" Dr. Nancy Wells pulled up images on the main screen. "Their shield technology is advanced, but it has a specific frequency pattern. My team found a way to create brief windows in their shields, not enough to destroy their ships, but enough to disrupt their systems." "Good work," Susan said. "Now we need to buy more time." On the surface, Earth appeared to be falling. Caraxian forces occupied several major cities. What they didn't know was that these cities were nearly empty, with most civilians evacuated to underground shelters or remote areas. In the asteroid belt, something unexpected was happening. Mining ships, never designed for combat, were being retrofitted with makeshift weapons. Miners and engineers worked day and night, creating a ragtag fleet from what they had available. Jack Peterson, a grizzled mining foreman, oversaw the conversion of his excavation vessel. "Never thought I'd turn my rock crusher into a warship," he told his crew as they installed salvaged weapons. "But I'll be damned if I let those aliens take our homes." The Caraxians didn't consider the miners a threat. They focused their attention on Earth's military bases and government centers. This was a mistake. When the first wave of mining ships attacked a Caraxian supply vessel near Mars, the aliens were completely unprepared. The mining ships used their powerful drilling equipment and improvised weapons to tear through the supply ship's hull. Vrakthul received the news with disbelief. How did primitive mining vessels defeat an Imperial supply ship? He demanded. His officers had no answer. What the Caraxians failed to understand was fundamental. Humans didn't fight like the other species they had conquered. Humans were adaptable, unpredictable, and absolutely unwilling to surrender. The war had only just begun. 6 months passed since the Caraxians arrived. From space, Earth looked defeated. Major cities lay in ruins. Caraxian ships patrolled the skies. Victory announcements played on all frequencies, yet something wasn't right. Deep in the Appalachian Mountains, Colonel Frank Dawson studied a holographic map showing Caraxian positions across North America. His underground base, built decades ago for a nuclear war that never happened, now served as the heart of Earth's resistance. "They control the cities, but they can't find us," Frank told the officers gathered around him. Their patrols follow the same routes every day. They're becoming predictable. A young woman with oil-stained hands raised her hand. "Colonel, my drones are ready for testing." This was Olivia Harding, a brilliant engineer who had escaped from Pittsburgh with pieces of a downed Corexian fighter. For weeks, she had studied the alien technology and combined it with human designs. "Show me," Frank said. Olivia opened a case containing small disc-shaped objects. "These drones use Corexian scanning technology, but with our programming. They can slip past alien sensors because they register as Corexian devices." Frank smiled for the first time in days. "How many can you make?" "With the materials we have, maybe 500. Get started. We need eyes everywhere." Across the world, similar resistance groups operated in hidden locations. They communicated using old technologies the Corexians ignored. Radio waves, fiber optic cables, even physical messengers. In what remained of Geneva, a Corexian commander named Drolvac reported to Fleet Commander Vrakthul. "The humans are defeated, yet we cannot find their leaders. It's as if they vanish into their planet itself." Vrakthul's patience was wearing thin. The Emperor expects this planet to be fully under control. "Find these resistance fighters and eliminate them." "We've tried, sir. They don't fight like the Zentari or the Bluven. They hide, they strike, they disappear, and now our patrols are finding traps everywhere." The Corexians had never encountered a species that refused to fight according to the rules of war they understood. Direct confrontation, surrender, negotiation. These were familiar, but humans fought like ghosts. Meanwhile, in a secret facility beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Karen Jacobs led a team working on something called the Prometheus Protocol. They had captured and studied Corexian technology, particularly their neural interfaces. "Their entire fleet is connected through these interfaces," Karen explained to Admiral Miller during a secure transmission. "It's how they coordinate so perfectly. But it's also a weakness. How much longer until Prometheus is ready?" Susan asked. 2 months, maybe 3. We need more Corexian components." "You'll get them," Susan promised. Near what was once Seattle, Captain William Ortega led a small team of special forces on a critical mission. Their target, a grounded Corexian shuttle with an officer aboard. "Remember," William told his team as they approached under cover of night, "we need him alive." Using tactics developed by Lieutenant Nichols, they disabled the shuttle's security systems and entered. The Corexian officer fought fiercely but was overwhelmed by the humans who moved with unexpected speed in Earth's higher gravity. "Package secured," William reported after they escaped with their prisoner. This captured officer would provide crucial information about Corexian neural interfaces, accelerating the Prometheus Protocol by weeks. On his command ship, Vrakthul received increasingly disturbing reports. His forces controlled Earth's major population centers, yet resistance grew stronger. Supply ships disappeared. Patrols walked into cleverly designed traps. Communication relays failed. "This is not possible," he raged to his commanders. "How can a defeated species cause so much trouble?" What Vrakthul didn't understand was that humans had never accepted defeat. On the surface, Earth appeared conquered. But beneath the rubble, behind mountain ranges, under the oceans, humanity prepared not just to survive, but to take back their world. And deep in their hidden facilities, the weapon that would change everything neared completion. The Corexian High Command had lost patience. Reports of human resistance increased daily. Supply ships disappeared. Outposts went silent. In response, they sent their elite fleet led by warlord Zex Kraner, a veteran of 100 conquests. Zex Kraner's massive black warship entered Earth orbit, twice the size of any vessel seen before. His first action was to gather all regional commanders. "This resistance ends now," Zex Kraner told them, his voice deep and cold. "I want every human settlement bombed until they understand their situation." The attack that followed was brutal. Corexian ships pounded coastal cities and farmlands alike. What they didn't realize was that most targets were already evacuated. The worst fighting happened over the Atlantic Ocean. Earth's remaining naval forces, hidden underwater for months, launched a surprise attack against Coraxian ships. Aircraft carriers released fighters that had been carefully saved for this moment. Major Greg Russell led the air assault, piloting one of Earth's advanced stealth jets. "Remember your training," he told his pilots. "Hit and fade. Don't try to be heroes." For 3 days, the Battle of the Atlantic raged. Human forces fought with desperate courage, but the technology gap was too great. By the end, 3 Coraxian ships were damaged, but nearly all Earth aircraft were destroyed. Major Russell and his squadron made a suicide run against Zex Cranor's command ship, causing minor damage before being vaporized. Admiral Susan Miller watched the reports from her mountain headquarters. "We lost good people," she told her staff. "But they bought us time." "Time for what?" asked her assistant. Susan's eyes were hard as steel. "For this." She turned to Dr. Karen Jacobs, who had just arrived from Antarctica. "Is Prometheus ready?" Karen nodded. "Yes, but we'll only get one chance. The virus needs to be uploaded directly to their main communication relay." The Prometheus protocol was humanity's secret weapon, a computer virus designed to attack the neural interfaces that connected all Coraxian ships and soldiers. It wouldn't kill them, but it would disrupt their ability to coordinate. In Chicago's ruins, Lieutenant Maria Sanchez made an important discovery. Her team had been observing Coraxian ground troops for weeks. "They move slower than they should," she reported to Colonel Dawson. "Their armor seems heavy for them." Frank studied the footage. Earth's gravity, it's stronger than their home world. This observation led to a new tactic. Human soldiers were equipped with specialized high-gravity combat suits, allowing them to move faster than the aliens expected. For the first time, ground engagements began to favor the humans. Zex Cranor was furious. How are these primitives adapting so quickly? He demanded of his science officer. "Unknown, warlord. They seem to learn our technology at an unprecedented rate. Then we will destroy their ability to learn. Target their research centers." But the Coraxians didn't know where to look. Earth's real research happened in hidden bunkers, abandoned mines, and underwater facilities. In Chicago, the first major human victory occurred. Coraxian forces, expecting easy conquest of the ruined city, walked into a carefully planned trap. Lieutenant Sanchez's fighters, using their knowledge of human architecture and their high-gravity training, surrounded and defeated an entire Coraxian battalion. When news reached Zex Cranor, he smashed his command console in rage. Impossible. The Coraxian leadership had made a critical error in their assessment of humans. They measured technology, not determination. They counted weapons, not ingenuity. Most of all, they expected humans to accept defeat like other conquered species. But humans would rather die on their feet than live on their knees. As Coraxian forces regrouped for another assault, humanity prepared its most daring move. Major Alex Porter, handpicked by Admiral Miller, assembled a small team for a mission with almost no chance of success, ordering Zex Cranor's command ship to upload the Prometheus virus. "This is probably a one-way trip," Alex told his volunteers. Every single one stayed. 1 year had passed since the Coraxians arrived. The planet bore deep scars from the fighting. Yet something had changed in recent months. The invaders no longer attacked with confidence. They moved cautiously, always looking over their shoulders. Admiral Susan Miller stood before a map of Earth in her command center. Red lights showed Coraxian strongholds. Blue lights showed human resistance bases. For the first time, there were more blue than red. "Today we take back our planet," she told the officers gathered around her. "Operation Prometheus begins in 6 hours." Around the world, resistance fighters prepared for coordinated attacks on all 7 Coraxian regional command centers. This wasn't a series of hit-and-run strikes. This was open warfare. Major Alex Porter and his team had already boarded a small transport disguised as a Coraxian supply ship. Their target, Warlord Zex Cranor's massive command vessel in orbit. Final equipment check. Alex ordered as they approached the Coraxian security perimeter. His team of 6 wore stolen Coraxian armor. Each carried the virus in digital form. "Remember, only one of us needs to reach the central computer core," Alex reminded them. "The rest of us just need to cause enough chaos to provide cover." Their ship passed through security by sending fake identification codes created from data provided by the captured Coraxian officer. Once docked, they moved quickly through the massive vessel. The first alarm sounded when they were halfway to the computer core. "We've been made," said Ben Hayes, Alex's second-in-command. "Time for Plan B." Plan B meant splitting up and causing as much damage as possible. The team separated, planting explosives at key points throughout the ship. Alex and Ben continued toward the computer core. They fought their way through increasingly heavy resistance. Ben took a blast to the chest just outside the core entrance. "Go," he told Alex, his voice weak. "I'll hold them off." Alex nodded once and continued alone. The computer core was a massive chamber filled with glowing terminals. He plugged the virus carrier into the main console and started the upload. Alarms blared. Security doors began to close. Alex drew his weapons and prepared for his final stand. Back on Earth, resistance forces launched simultaneous attacks around the globe. In New York, Sergeant Peter Davis led 200 fighters against the Coraxian headquarters established in what remained of the Empire State Building. "They know we're coming," Peter told his troops as they moved through underground tunnels. "But they don't know about our new weapons." These weapons, based on Coraxian technology, but modified for human use, were produced in secret factories. They fired energy pulses that disrupted alien shield systems. When they emerged into daylight, the battle was fierce. Coraxian soldiers fell back in confusion as their shields failed. For the first time, the aliens retreated. Similar scenes played out across Earth. In London, Moscow, Beijing, Rio de Janeiro, Sydney, and Cairo, human forces pushed forward against increasingly disorganized Coraxian defenders. In orbit, Alex completed the virus upload just as Coraxian troops breached the computer core. He fought until his weapons were empty, then detonated the explosives he carried. The resulting chain reaction damaged critical systems throughout the command ship. The Prometheus virus spread through the Coraxian neural network like wildfire. Ship after ship lost coordination as their crews struggled with malfunctioning neural interfaces. Fighters flew in circles. Ground troops received contradictory orders. Within hours, 40% of the Coraxian fleet was disabled. Warlord Zex Kreiner watched in disbelief as his forces fell into chaos. "What is happening?" he demanded. His officers had no answers. The mighty Coraxian war machine, undefeated for 3 centuries, was breaking down. As the Coraxians struggled to regain control, Admiral Miller unveiled humanity's final surprise. From hidden bases around the world, a rebuilt Earth fleet rose into the sky. These ships combined human ingenuity with reverse-engineered Coraxian technology. "All ships, engage the enemy," Susan ordered. "Push them out of our solar system." The counterattack had begun. The Coraxian Empire was in shock. Never before had they faced such a reversal. Warlord Zex Kreiner's fleet retreated to the edge of the solar system to regroup while calling for reinforcements from their homeworld. Admiral Susan Miller didn't waste this opportunity. Earth ships established defensive positions around the planet and its colonies. For the first time in a year, humans could walk outside without fear of aerial bombardment. In her command center, Susan received an unexpected message. "Admiral, we're picking up an unidentified ship approaching Mars. It's not Coraxian." On the main screen, a sleek vessel unlike any they had seen before appeared. It broadcast on all frequencies in perfect English. "People of Earth, we are the Altarians. We wish to speak with your leaders about a common enemy." The Altarians were not alone. 2 more ships decloaked nearby, each from a different species. All had one thing in common. They had been conquered by the Coraxian Empire. Commander John Reeves, who had survived the initial contact a year ago, was sent to meet these potential allies. His ship docked with the Altarian vessel in Mars orbit. Inside, he met beings from 3 different worlds. The Altarians were tall and slender with silver skin. The Volith were stocky with 4 arms. The Nira resembled large insects but spoke with musical voices. "We watch your resistance with great interest," said Kellner, the Altarian leader. "No species has ever fought back so effectively against the Coraxians." "We had no choice," John replied. "It was fight or die." "That is why we are here," Kellner explained. "For 300 years, the Coraxian Empire has expanded through our galaxy. 17 civilizations fell before them. Most now serve as slave labor, but you humans have done what none thought possible. You pushed them back." The Volith representative stepped forward. "My people were the first to be conquered. For centuries, we have worked in their minds, dreaming of freedom. When news of Earth's resistance reached us, rebellions began across Coraxian territory. We need to work together," added the Nira. "The Coraxians will return with a bigger fleet. They cannot allow your victory to inspire others." 3 days later, Earth hosted the first Galactic Resistance Summit. Representatives from the formerly conquered species met with Earth's leaders in the underground city beneath the Rocky Mountains. Together, they shared knowledge, technology, and battle plans. Dr. Nancy Wells worked with Altarian scientists to enhance the Prometheus virus. "Their neural technology is even more advanced than ours," she told Admiral Miller. "With their help, we can create a virus that affects the entire Coraxian command structure." Colonel Frank Dawson helped form a joint species task force. "We'll hit their supply lines," he explained during the planning session. "Cut off their resources and their war machine stalls." The Volith taught humans how to build more efficient energy weapons. The Nira shared their advanced stealth technology. In return, humans taught them about guerrilla warfare and adaptability. For the first time, the Coraxians faced not just one rebellious planet, but the beginning of a multi-species alliance. Their once firm grip on their empire began to slip. As preparations continued, Commander Reeves led the first joint mission. 3 ships, 1 human, 1 Altarian, and 1 Nira, slipped behind enemy lines to attack a Coraxian prison world. They freed thousands of captives from multiple species, all potential allies in the growing resistance. Captain Linda Rodriguez, a skilled diplomat who had helped negotiate peace between Earth nations before the invasion, now found herself creating a multi-species defense pact. "We must formalize our alliance," she told the gathered representatives. "Together, we are stronger than the sum of our parts." Word of the alliance spread across Coraxian territory through secret channels. Slave revolts erupted on 6 worlds simultaneously. For the first time in centuries, the Coraxian Empire found itself fighting on multiple fronts. On their throne world, the Coraxian Emperor received increasingly disturbing reports. "These humans," he hissed to his advisors, "they have become a disease spreading through our empire." His solution was simple but terrible. "Gather our main fleet. We will burn Earth to ash, no matter the cost." The Coalition watched with growing alarm as Coraxian ships gathered near the edge of Earth's solar system. Their fleet grew daily, with vessels arriving from across their empire. This would be their largest attack force in centuries. "We count over 500 warships," reported Commander John Reeves during an emergency meeting, including 3 dreadnoughts. The dreadnoughts were planet killers, massive ships capable of reducing Earth's surface to molten rock. Even with their combined forces, the Coalition had no weapons that could penetrate their shields. Admiral Susan Miller studied the holographic display showing enemy positions. "We can't win a direct battle against this fleet." "Then we don't fight directly," said Kellner, the Altarian leader. "We attack where they don't expect." The Coalition formed a bold plan. While Earth's forces defended the solar system, a small, elite team would strike at the heart of the Coraxian Empire itself, their homeworld. Engineer Olivia Harding had been working day and night on a new weapon. "It's based on the frequency disruptors we used against their shields," she explained to the mission team. But this version is much more powerful. It can neutralize an entire dreadnought's systems for several minutes. The problem was that it had to be deployed from inside the enemy's defensive perimeter. Colonel Frank Dawson volunteered to lead the mission to the Coraxian homeworld. "I've been fighting these aliens for over a year," he said. "Time to take the fight to their doorstep." His team included specialists from all 4 allied species. Their ship was a modified Nera stealth vessel, nearly invisible to Coraxian sensors. As Frank's team prepared for their mission, Earth faced the full might of the Coraxian attack. The massive enemy fleet jumped into the inner solar system and immediately began their assault. Earth's forces fought with desperate courage. Human ships, reinforced by Altarian and Volith vessels, engaged the Coraxian attackers. Dr. Wells' enhanced Prometheus virus affected some enemy ships, but the Coraxians had developed countermeasures against the original version. Sergeant Peter Davis led ground forces against Coraxian troops that landed near the ruins of Chicago. "They want this area secure to set up ground-based weapons," he told his fighters. "We can't let that happen." The fighting was brutal. Even with their high-gravity combat suits and adapted alien weapons, human soldiers faced overwhelming numbers. Peter's forces were pushed back block by block. Meanwhile, Colonel Dawson's team successfully navigated through Coraxian territory. Using a series of small jumps between star systems, they avoided detection. When they finally reached the Coraxian homeworld, they found its defenses formidable, but not impossible. They never expected enemies to reach this far, Frank told his team as they approached. Their arrogance will be their downfall. The plan was for Frank to lead a diversionary attack on a military base, while a smaller team infiltrated the Imperial Palace to upload an enhanced Prometheus virus directly into the Central Command network. The diversion worked better than expected. Frank's team caused massive damage to the military base, drawing most security forces away from the palace. But they paid a heavy price. One by one, his team members fell to enemy fire. At the palace, the infiltration team reached the Central Command Center. Just as they prepared to upload the virus, they were discovered. Sergeant Peter Davis, who had been assigned to the infiltration team after the Chicago battle, held off enemy soldiers while the others worked. "Upload complete," reported the Altarian technician. "But we can't escape now." Peter looked at his team. "Then we make sure they remember us." As security forces breached the room, Peter triggered the explosives they had planted. The command center erupted in flames, taking the infiltration team with it. Their sacrifice was not in vain. Across the Coraxian Empire, their command structure began to collapse. The enhanced virus spread through their entire network, disabling communications, weapons, and navigation systems. Back in Earth's solar system, Admiral Miller watched as Coraxian ships suddenly lost coordination. "All forces, press the attack," she ordered. "This is our chance." Earth ships, using Olivia's frequency disruptors, disabled all 3 dreadnoughts. The tide of battle had turned.